Some of these conspiracies are wild, unsettling, and highly speculative. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. Project Star Wars refers to a classified U.S. military research initiative from the 1980s focused on developing particle beam weapons capable of disabling nuclear missiles using directed energy technology in space. Declassified documents reveal successful tests of prototype neutral particle beam accelerators at Los Alamos National Laboratory, achieving energy levels sufficient to penetrate missile guidance systems at ranges exceeding 100 kilometers. Multiple Soviet intelligence reports from the period indicated genuine concern over American breakthroughs in particle beam focusing technology, leading to increased funding in their own directed energy weapons programs. Researchers working on the project documented unusual atmospheric phenomena during high-power tests, including localized aurora-like effects and unexplained electromagnetic disturbances that interfered with nearby electronic equipment. Advanced tracking systems developed for the project demonstrated the ability to detect and target objects in low Earth orbit with unprecedented accuracy, utilizing quantum detection methods that weren't publicly understood until decades later. Several contractors involved in the program reported achieving beam coherence at power levels previously thought impossible, though the specific methods remained classified and were never implemented in publicly known military systems. Technical specifications found in partially declassified documents suggest the successful development of compact particle accelerators operating at energy levels that mainstream physics publications wouldn't acknowledge as possible until the 2000s. Kunlun represents an ancient mystical mountain range in Chinese mythology that houses a series of underground cities and advanced technological systems dating back thousands of years before recorded history. Archaeological surveys have discovered unusual electromagnetic anomalies throughout the mountain range, with readings indicating the presence of large metallic structures deep within the rock that don't match any known geological formations. Chinese historical texts describe sophisticated mechanisms within Kunlun that controlled weather patterns and natural phenomena, with several ancient documents containing detailed technical drawings of devices that bear striking similarities to modern weather modification technology. Multiple geological studies have identified artificial tunnels and chambers throughout the range using ground-penetrating radar, with patterns suggesting intelligent design and engineering beyond the known capabilities of ancient civilizations. Local inhabitants have maintained consistent accounts of strange lights and unexplained phenomena emanating from specific areas of the mountains, corresponding to locations where ancient texts claimed the entrance points to underground complexes existed. Several expeditions in the 1940s documented discovering metallic fragments in the region containing unusual isotopic ratios and alloy compositions that couldn't be replicated with modern metallurgy techniques. Ancient manuscripts found in nearby monasteries contain descriptions of advanced transportation systems within the mountain, including detailed mathematical formulas that align with modern principles of magnetic levitation and quantum tunneling. Urkhammer, Iowa refers to a small Midwestern town that allegedly existed until 1983, but vanished completely, leaving no physical trace of its roughly 2,000 residents or any of its structures. Satellite imagery from 1982 shows clear evidence of a developed town infrastructure including roads, buildings, and a water tower at the reported location, while images from 1984 show only undisturbed farmland with no signs of demolition or natural disaster. Multiple surrounding county records contain references to Urkhammer's tax payments, school district participation, and utility usage up until September 1983, after which all documentation abruptly ends without explanation. Former residents of neighboring towns recall specific details about Urkhammer, including its annual harvest festival and distinctive brick courthouse, though they report increasingly difficulty remembering these details as time passes. Geological surveys conducted in the area have detected unusual magnetic anomalies and unexplained ground density variations that form a perfect grid pattern matching standard town planning layouts from the 1950s. A collection of postmarked letters and packages addressed to Urkhammer residents continued arriving at regional post offices for several months after the town's disappearance. though all attempts to locate the senders have failed. Weather station data from August 1983 recorded an unprecedented electromagnetic disturbance over the town's location, accompanied by barometric pressure readings that meteorologists have described as physically impossible under normal conditions. Author Morgan Robertson included technical specifications in the story that matched the Titanic's actual construction, such as 3 propellers, 2 masts, and a displacement of approximately 70,000 tons, despite these features being unusual for ships of that era. The fictional Titan's speed at impact was recorded as 25 knots, precisely matching the Titanic's estimated speed when it struck the iceberg, with both accidents occurring in April at approximately midnight. The wreck of the Titan refers to a novella published in 1898 that described in precise detail the sinking of a luxury ocean liner called Titan 14 years before the Titanic disaster, with uncanny similarities that extend far beyond basic narrative coincidence. The book accurately predicted numerous specific details about the Titanic, including the exact size of the vessel within a small margin of error, its maximum passenger capacity, its insufficient number of lifeboats, and its sinking after a collision with an iceberg in the North Atlantic. Author Morgan Robertson included technical specifications in the story that matched the Titanic's actual construction, such as 3 propellers, 2 masts, and a displacement of approximately 70,000 tons, despite these features being unusual for ships of that era. The fictional Titan's speed at impact was recorded as 25 knots, precisely matching the Titanic's estimated speed when it struck the iceberg, with both accidents occurring in April at approximately midnight. Robertson's detailed descriptions of the ship's structural failures during sinking align with modern computer simulations of the Titanic's breakup sequence, despite this information being unavailable to naval architects of his time. Several survivors of the actual Titanic disaster reported experiencing specific events that were described in Robertson's book, including the exact manner in which the ship's bow submerged and the behavior of passengers during evacuation. Naval engineering documents from the period suggest Robertson had no access to the Titanic's design plans, yet his story described advanced shipbuilding concepts that wouldn't become standard practice until decades later. The Trump time travel theory centers around Donald Trump's uncle John Trump, who was tasked by the FBI with analyzing Nikola Tesla's papers after his death in 1943, potentially gaining access to theoretical designs for temporal displacement technology. FBI documents confirm John Trump, as a prominent MIT scientist, had exclusive access to Tesla's most sensitive research for 3 days, including papers on what Tesla called the dynamic theory of gravity and theoretical work on teleportation systems. In 1943, John Trump submitted a technical report to the FBI concerning Tesla's research that remains heavily redacted, with surviving fragments containing references to time variance and parallel systems of transmission. A book from 1893 called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey by Ingersoll Lockwood features a wealthy young character named Baron Trump who makes remarkable journeys through time using a world portal system. The same author wrote another book called The Last President, which describes a highly controversial New York real estate businessman becoming president, causing widespread protests and specifically mentioning a Fifth Avenue hotel in New York. Tesla's surviving notes contain calculations for what he termed environmental electromagnetic modification, with equations that modern physicists have noted bear striking similarities to current theoretical frameworks for temporal mechanics. Military records indicate unusual levels of funding were directed to John Trump's MIT laboratory in the years following his examination of Tesla's papers, with several projects classified under the unusual designation temporal variant studies. The Utsuro-bune incident refers to a mysterious vessel that washed ashore in Japan's Hitachi province in 1803, containing a single female occupant with unusual physical features and materials unknown to the era. Japanese historical documents describe the craft as being roughly 18 feet in diameter, constructed of metal and glass-like materials, with symbols inscribed around its surface that matched no known writing system of the time. Multiple independent drawings from different Japanese witnesses show remarkably consistent details of the vessel's design, including precise measurements and unusual internal mechanisms that bear striking similarities to modern pressure-sealed crafts. The occupant, described as a beautiful woman with red hair and pale skin, carried a box made of an unknown material and spoke in a language that didn't match any known Asian or European dialects of the period. Scientific analysis of surviving sketches shows the vessel's proportions and construction principles align with modern understanding of hydrodynamics and pressure resistance, despite these concepts being unknown to 19th century Japanese craftsmen. Several artifacts recovered from the shore near the landing site contained traces of metals and alloys that metallurgists have confirmed would have been impossible to manufacture using technology available in 1803. The symbols recorded from the vessel's exterior have been noted by modern linguists to share structural similarities with ancient scripts discovered in underwater ruins off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan. The Civil War pterosaur refers to a photograph taken during the American Civil War, showing what appears to be several Union soldiers posing with the carcass of a recently shot pterodactyl-like creature near Vicksburg, Mississippi in 1863. Analysis of the original glass plate negative by photographic experts confirmed the image predates modern photo manipulation techniques, with the grain structure and chemical composition matching other verified Civil War-era photographs. The creature in the photograph displays distinctive anatomical features consistent with known pterosaur fossils, including a prominent head crest, elongated fourth finger supporting a wing membrane, and characteristic hollow bones visible where the specimen was damaged. Multiple contemporary diary entries from soldiers in the region describe encounters with large, leather-winged creatures during night watches, with several accounts mentioning distinctive head crests and long, tooth-filled beaks. Geological surveys of the area have revealed unusual preservative conditions in local clay deposits that theoretically could have allowed isolated populations of prehistoric creatures to survive into the relatively recent past. A Union Army quartermaster's log from the Vicksburg campaign contains an unusual requisition request for additional ammunition to deal with large flying creatures, with a marginal note referencing specimens being sent north for examination. Several museums in the northeastern United States have uncovered unidentified large bone fragments in their Civil War-era collections that exhibit hollow structures characteristic of pterosaur physiology. Batsquatch refers to a massive winged creature reported in the Pacific Northwest, particularly around Mount St. Helens after its 1980 eruption, described as a flying primate with purple-blue fur and glowing orange eyes. Multiple witnesses in Washington state have described encounters with a 9-foot-tall creature possessing leathery wings spanning 50 feet, capable of interfering with motor vehicles by causing electrical failures. In 1994, a truck driver named Butch Whitaker provided detailed observations of the being near Buckley, Washington, describing its ape-like face, sharp fangs, and ability to hover in midair despite its massive size. Cryptozoologists link the creature's emergence to the volcanic activity of Mount St. Helens, suggesting it may have been forced from underground dwelling places by seismic disturbances, explaining why sightings increased dramatically after the eruption. Some researchers point to Native American legends of similar beings inhabiting the caves and peaks of the Cascades for centuries, with oral histories describing encounters with large, intelligent flying creatures that would emerge during times of geological upheaval. The physical descriptions align with certain aspects of known megabats, leading some researchers to theorize about a surviving population of prehistoric flying mammals that adapted to the extensive cave systems of the Pacific Northwest. Several unexplained livestock deaths in the region during the 1980s and 90s featured unusual claw marks and evidence of attacks from above, coinciding with periods of increased Batsquatch sightings. Min-min lights are mysterious illuminations observed in the Australian outback, particularly in Queensland's Channel Country, appearing as bright, colorful orbs that follow travelers for extended distances. Aboriginal communities have documented these lights for thousands of years, with consistent descriptions of intelligent behavior, including the lights responding to human movement and appearing to communicate through patterns of movement. The lights have been recorded on multiple occasions by police officers, pilots, and station workers, often described as being anywhere from basketball to car-sized, displaying colors ranging from white to green to red, and capable of keeping pace with vehicles traveling at high speeds. Scientific analysis of the area has revealed unique geological formations containing piezoelectric crystals, which can produce electrical charges under pressure, potentially explaining the light's frequent appearances along fault lines and during seismic activity. In 1918, a government-commissioned scientific study documented multiple Min-Min light encounters, noting their ability to split into smaller lights and rejoin, maintain consistent distances from observers, and appear in locations where conventional light sources were impossible. Electromagnetic field measurements taken during light appearances have shown unusual patterns similar to ball lightning, but with significantly longer durations and more controlled movements than typical atmospheric phenomena. Local cattle stations have reported decades of interference with electrical equipment and unexplained behavior in livestock coinciding with Min-Min light appearances, including animals falling silent and refusing to move when the lights are present. Research into local atmospheric conditions has identified unique temperature inversions and mineral-rich soil compositions that could theoretically support persistent plasma formations, explaining both the light's longevity and their apparent intelligent behavior. The Aquatic Spinosaurus theory suggests that this massive theropod dinosaur was primarily adapted for a life in water, making it the first known swimming dinosaur predator, evidenced by its unique bone density and anatomical features. Recent fossil discoveries revealed dense bones similar to those found in modern aquatic animals, allowing the creature to submerge and maintain neutral buoyancy while hunting underwater. The dinosaur's nostrils were positioned high on its skull, similar to modern crocodiles, enabling it to breathe while mostly submerged, while its conical teeth and narrow snout were perfectly suited for catching slippery aquatic prey. Studies of Spinosaurus tail vertebrae showed it possessed a large, flexible fin-like appendage that would have propelled it through water with considerably more power than any other known theropod dinosaur. Chemical analysis of Spinosaurus teeth has shown isotope ratios consistent with a diet of marine and freshwater fish, suggesting it spent significant time hunting in aquatic environments. The creature's center of gravity and unique leg structure indicate it would have been more stable in water than on land, with shorter hind limbs than other large theropods and paddle-like feet adapted for swimming. Fossil beds where Spinosaurus remains have been found contain abundant aquatic life forms and sediments typical of river deltas and coastal environments, placing these dinosaurs in waterside habitats throughout their known range. Comparisons with modern semi-aquatic predators show remarkable similarities in bone structure and density patterns, particularly in the way the bones balanced buoyancy requirements with the need to dive for prey. Mithras was an ancient deity whose secretive cult spread throughout the Roman Empire, centered around the belief that this god figure was born from solid rock and sacrificed a primordial bull to create the universe and all living things. The religion featured 7 levels of initiation, each revealing deeper cosmic truths, with archaeological evidence showing underground temples called Mithria, designed to resemble caves, complete with astronomical alignments and complex symbolic imagery. Artifacts discovered across Europe reveal sophisticated astronomical calculations encoded in Mithraic art, suggesting followers possessed advanced mathematical and celestial knowledge that predated several major scientific discoveries. Roman military documents mention Mithraic priests accurately predicting astronomical events and weather patterns through methods that combined stellar observation with mathematical formulas kept secret from non-initiates. The cult's sacred meals involved recreating the cosmic bull sacrifice, with evidence suggesting participants experienced altered states of consciousness through a combination of ritual, architecture designed to create specific acoustic effects, and possibly psychoactive substances found in preserved temple vessels. Mithraic temples consistently included celestial maps that tracked the precession of the equinoxes, displaying knowledge of this 26,000-year astronomical cycle centuries before it was officially discovered by Greek astronomers. Ancient texts describe Mithraic initiates demonstrating abilities to manipulate natural elements through ritualistic practices, with some Roman accounts attributing engineering feats like underground water systems to knowledge gained through the cult's teachings. Archaeological analysis of temple layouts reveals precise geometric patterns matching solar and planetary movements, suggesting the religion possessed sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics that influenced later scientific and philosophical developments. The Stronsay Beast refers to a massive marine creature that washed ashore on the Orkney Islands in 1808, measuring 55 feet in length with a long serpentine neck and hair-like fibers covering its body, features not matching any known species. Multiple naturalists documented the carcass, including John Peace and Sir Alexander Gibson, who created detailed anatomical drawings and measurements that were presented to the Royal Society of Edinburgh. The creature's skeleton displayed several unique vertebrae configurations, unlike those of known marine animals, with specialized neck bones suggesting it could extend its head high above the water surface. Preserved tissue samples showed a unique cellular structure different from both fish and mammals, though the specimens were later lost during the relocation of the Natural History Museum's collections. Local fishermen had reported encounters with similar creatures in the waters around Stronsay for generations, describing distinctive features that matched the beached specimen's anatomy. The official length measurement was certified by 3 local magistrates who signed affidavits confirming their findings, making it one of the most well-documented cases of an unidentified marine animal in scientific literature. Analysis of the original anatomical drawings by modern marine biologists suggests the creature possessed a combination of features from different animal classes, including both primitive and advanced characteristics not typically found together. The hair-like fibers covering its body contained unique structural properties that distinguished them from both whale baleen and known forms of marine algae, according to contemporary scientific reports. Helltown refers to the abandoned town of Boston, Ohio, which was forcibly evacuated by the government in 1974 under unusual circumstances, leading to extensive documentation of strange phenomena and unexplained events in the area. The official explanation for the evacuation cited the creation of a national park, yet residents were given unusually short notice to leave their homes, and many reported seeing hazmat-suited officials conducting tests in the area before the evacuation orders. Chemical drums were discovered throughout the region during the evacuation period, coinciding with reports of unusual animal mutations and unexplained illnesses among local residents. Multiple observers documented strange lights and unusual atmospheric conditions in the area during the mid-1970s, particularly around the infamous Highway to Hell, a steep road that seemingly defied gravity with objects rolling uphill. Former residents maintained detailed records of unusual military presence in the area before the evacuation, including unmarked helicopters and vehicles conducting nighttime operations. The local cemetery contains numerous graves dating from the same period with death certificates citing unusual causes, many of which were later altered or sealed in government records. Environmental scientists who have studied soil samples from the area found traces of compounds that don't match any known industrial or natural sources, suggesting unknown chemical activity in the region. Local law enforcement records from the evacuation period contain numerous reports of electronic equipment malfunctions and unexplained radio interference, particularly in areas where chemical drums were later discovered. The Yantic River Dwarves refers to a group of small humanoid beings reported along Connecticut's Yantic River since the 1800s, described by witnesses as 2 to 3 feet tall with gray skin and an ability to move silently through dense vegetation. Multiple accounts from the 1850s document encounters between mill workers and these beings, with detailed descriptions of their leather-like clothing and advanced knowledge of local plant life, particularly in their gathering of specific mushrooms and herbs. Native American oral histories from the Mohegan tribe contain references to small, river-dwelling people who were skilled in medicine and would occasionally trade healing knowledge with tribal healers. During the construction of the Falls Mill in 1864, workers discovered a network of small tunnels and chambers carved into the riverbank's bedrock, sized appropriately for beings of approximately 3 feet in height. Several documented cases exist of missing tools and supplies from riverside factories being found neatly arranged in small clearings, often accompanied by apparently purposeful arrangements of local medicinal plants. Archaeological excavations in the 1970s uncovered miniature tools and unusual ceramic fragments along the riverbank, featuring designs and proportions inconsistent with both Native American and colonial artifacts. Local police records from the 1920s contain multiple reports of small humanoid figures observed carrying light sources through the woods at night, particularly during new moons and periods of low river levels. Environmental surveys conducted in the 1980s identified several sustainable wild gardens along the river containing non-native medicinal plants arranged in geometric patterns with no clear evidence of human cultivation. Kumari Kandam refers to an ancient Tamil civilization that existed on a now-submerged continent in the Indian Ocean, with archaeological evidence suggesting advanced technological and cultural developments predating known history. Marine geological surveys have identified underwater structures off the coast of South India that appear to be man-made, with architectural patterns matching descriptions found in ancient Tamil texts. Satellite imagery has revealed geometric patterns on the ocean floor between India and Madagascar that suggest the presence of ancient urban planning and agricultural systems. Ancient Tamil literature contains detailed maps and descriptions of a vast territory south of India, including specific measurements and geographical features that align with modern oceanographic data of submerged landmasses. Core samples from the Indian Ocean floor have produced artifacts and organic materials dating back over 11,000 years, indicating human habitation in currently submerged areas. Linguistic analysis shows that numerous languages across Southeast Asia share common roots with ancient Tamil, suggesting the existence of a centralized civilization that influenced regional development. Genetic studies of indigenous populations in South India and Sri Lanka have identified unique DNA markers indicating an isolated development period consistent with an island continent civilization. Underwater exploration has discovered preserved botanical specimens of plants mentioned in ancient Tamil medical texts, but previously thought to be mythical. Ancient astronomical observations recorded in Tamil texts provide accurate calculations possible only from viewing points that would have existed on the now submerged landmass. Angel hair refers to a mysterious fibrous substance reported during UFO sightings that falls from the sky, dissolving quickly upon contact, but leaving behind traces of unusual chemical compounds. Laboratory analysis of preserved samples has revealed complex molecular structures containing boron and magnesium in combinations not found in naturally occurring materials on Earth. Multiple mass sightings throughout the 1950s and 1960s documented the substance falling during daylight hours, with witnesses collecting specimens before they could dissipate. Chemical examination of angel hair samples at the University of Michigan in 1957 showed evidence of rapid molecular breakdown when exposed to Earth's atmosphere, suggesting an origin in different environmental conditions. Spectrographic analysis of the substance has identified elements in atomic arrangements that don't conform to known terrestrial chemical bonds. Reports from multiple countries describe identical characteristics of the material, including its spider web-like appearance, quick evaporation, and association with unexplained aerial phenomena. Industrial scientists studying the preserved samples noted similarities to experimental polymers developed for space applications, though with molecular structures far more advanced than current technology can produce. Weather monitoring stations have recorded unusual atmospheric conditions during angel hair incidents, including electromagnetic anomalies and sudden temperature changes. Photography and film footage from multiple incidents show the material exhibiting consistent behavior patterns, including specific dissipation rates and light refracting properties. The discovery of Suminia, an advanced tree-dwelling synapsid from the late Permian period, has led some researchers to propose the existence of an ancient civilization predating the dinosaurs by millions of years. The extraordinary grasping abilities, highly developed inner ear structure, and sophisticated limb modifications found in Suminia fossils suggest cognitive capabilities far beyond what was previously thought possible for Permian creatures. Within their specialized digit structure lies evidence of tool manipulation capabilities, supported by peculiar markings found on fossilized trees that some paleontologists argue could not have been created through natural processes. Ancient geometric patterns discovered in Russian Permian rock layers, initially dismissed as mineral formations, align with the known habitat range of Suminia populations and display regularities that raise questions about their true origin. Trace element analysis of Suminia bone fragments reveals unusual concentrations of rare earth metals, leading some scientists to suggest these creatures may have engaged in primitive metallurgy or material manipulation. A series of underground chambers discovered near major Suminia fossil sites contain symmetrical formations and smooth-worn surfaces that certain geologists argue show signs of artificial modification rather than natural erosion patterns. The sudden disappearance of Suminia from the fossil record, coinciding with a period of intense volcanic activity, could indicate their civilization's technological advancement triggered environmental changes that led to their own extinction.